everybody, it's Becky. How are you this evening? Checking in and doing a little whip and chat. I am continuing on Fidel the tiger. This was a mystery diamond painting sent to me by DP Crazy Lady. And as you can see, I am nearly done. I have a couple of sections left to do on this one. And I think I'm going to cut that in about half for right now. I'm not sure how much I'll paint tonight. But here are my drills. And using my large tray and a couple of different pens and tweezers. So what's been going on today, or this week, I only had to work yesterday and today because tomorrow we start to prep for our Quilt Guild's biannual show. We do a show every other year on the odd years. So my responsibility with this year's show is putting together gift baskets that we are going to sell chances at winning. Here in Oklahoma, we technically, because we're not a nonprofit, we cannot legally have a raffle. So we always say that you have an opportunity to win a prize, whatever it is, whether we have a quilt that the entire guild worked on, that you have a chance to win, our opportunity quilt as we call it. And then we have our other sources of income for our guild are, this year, like I said, we're adding a basket raffle. We have not done the basket raffle in a very long time, like before I was part of the guild. And we, in the past, they tried to do one and people just didn't fill baskets enough to like make them look nice. And so that was my responsibility this year, was to gather the baskets and to make sure that they are nice and make sure that we have people who are able to come and sit with the ticket sales for that. So that is what I've been working on for several months now. It looks like we're going to have about 40 baskets total. I've got a couple of vendors who are coming and bringing baskets when they come. And I think I've got one guild member with a couple of baskets outstanding still. So yeah, I think we'll be, if we're not at 40, we're darn close, which is nice because that allows me the opportunity to do, you know, if I've got 40 baskets, I can do, 20 baskets on Friday and 20 baskets on Saturday. And then we've got winners both days instead of, me having to draw for winners of, 40 baskets all in one day. I can do 20 one day and 20 the other day. That does somewhat encourage people to come back the second day. If they were there Friday and they, saw a basket that they liked but maybe didn't win it, they can come back on Saturday and have a chance at winning a different basket. So very excited about the chance to expand our quilt show in this manner. And so that's been my baby this year, and we shall see how it goes. I have so tomorrow the plan is for us to get our poles set and start taking in quilts to be hung in the show. And then also taping out the spots where our vendors will set up their booths. We usually have a dozen or so vendors that come. We have a limited amount of space, so we try to make sure not to have so many vendors that people aren't able to take a good amount of time to shop at every one of them. You know, the whole point to them coming is to, you know, spread their business. And so we definitely want to make sure that everybody gets plenty of opportunity for people to come shop with them. I know I spend way too much money whenever these vendors come to town, but again, it's all part of quilters supporting quilters. I'm looking for number 2s right now. I'm trying to kind of go in numerical order on this so that I don't totally lose my mind, but of course I do miss some here and there. Anyway, so we'll get our booth spaces marked out, quilts hung and ready on Wednesday. On Thursday, our judges will come in before the show opens, and they will do their judging. During that time, each judge will have a couple of scribes with them, and so the judge will sit there and you know, make their remarks about the quilt, and the scribe just writes down everything that they're saying and, you know, keeps all the notes for them, so that once they've looked at all the quilts in the categories, they can come back and say which ones have placed first, second, third, and if desired, they can also award honorable mention. Thursday is going to be a very, very long day, because in addition to doing scribing for the judges at the quilt show, I will also be getting up very, very early to take a friend to the airport. The airport's about 45 minutes from us, and we need to be there between 7 and 7:30, if not a little earlier. So Thursday morning, I've got to get up at like stupid early o'clock and go pick her up and take her to the airport. After that, I set up a couple of doctor's appointments, and so it's already off work. And then after those doctor's appointments, I will head back to the quilt show, where I will help with scribing. I'll take my turn, you know, going around with the judges. It takes majority of the day for them to look at all the quilts. We do have over 150 quilts this year, which is not our greatest year, but it's certainly not our worst year either. And I was supposed to be looking for 3s, and my brain went, you're looking for 2s. So I missed some 3s. Anyways, I enjoy scribing for the judges because it gives me a really good education about what they're looking for, and, you know, what different judges like and what they don't like. And although they don't judge on personal preference, they do, you know, everybody has certain things that are important to them in their judging, you know, whether it is, you know, how the person has put on their binding, or how they've, you know, what materials they've selected for a particular quilt, things like that. So I don't know, all of them have their own little things that they want, you know, to see. And so yeah, it's interesting to learn what they like and what they don't like, and you always pick up some new vocabulary words, and not bad ones. Stop thinking that way, guys. But you know, you pick up different words that you're like, oh, well, what does that mean? You know, once the judge has finished all the remarks on that quilt, if I have questions about a particular, thing that they said, most of them are happy to take that time to explain to you, this is why I, counted off for this or that, or this is why I gave this, more weight in the judging than that, or whatever. So you really do learn so much. And so that's probably my favorite part of setting up and running a quilt show is learning things from the judges. After scribing is completed, then I will help make sure that all of our vendors get set up. One of our vendors that I'm really good friends with, they have a huge booth space, and they've always been really appreciative of my help because they know I was in retail for a very long time, so they know I know how to set a store, and they bring practically their entire store. So, I definitely feel like I'm able to contribute to their setup. And same on teardown day. I usually do try my best to help them because they do have so much coming down, going up and coming down, that it's just, they appreciate having the extra hands. Neither of them are getting any younger. And so they're always happy to have extra help. So yeah, Thursday is getting the vendor set up in the late afternoon, and then on Friday morning at 9 we open our doors for the public, and that's when we start our raffle ticket sales. That's when we start our for gift baskets and our quilt. And then of course, everybody goes through and oohs and ahs over the quilts, and you always love to hear your friends go, oh, look at the ribbon I got on this one. And so yeah, it's a good time had by all. We are hoping to have a big turnout this year. We have done a whole lot more social media advertising this year than we have in the past. We've got one member who is super fantastic about social media marketing, and she has just taken that and run with it, which I know our city council will really appreciate seeing, because every year we apply for a grant through the city, and part of what qualifies us for that grant, and of course we have to show them every year, how our quilt show did, what we've improved from the last show as far as advertising and so on and so forth, and did we draw more people in for tourism. And so with all these social media posts this year, I'm really hoping that we have shown so much more improvement. I know last time, well, I say last year, it's every other year that we apply for this because we have our quilt show every other year. The last time I was a little worried we weren't going to get it, because they were like, well, did you, do any advertising? And we're like, yeah, we advertised. Well, how did you advertise? Well, we advertise the way quilt guilds typically advertise their quilt shows, which is we print up flyers and we put them out at quilt shops. We don't, there's not a whole lot of advertising that usually goes into small shows like ours. And so the fact that we have this huge social media push this year, I think is going to really make the council happy. What in the world? Sorry, my lid is not wanting to tighten. There we go. So I'm really hoping that they see, that we've gone above and beyond what we have done in the past, and that will encourage them to continue approving us for the grant. Our quilt guild is non-profit. We're not a registered non-profit, but we are not doing any of this for profit. Everything that we make from our quilt show and any fundraisers we have throughout the year is all to support our quilt guild and bring in speakers throughout the year, and teachers, and to host events and things like that. It's our board members don't get paid, which is probably why nobody wants to be a board member. But we do definitely have we have a lot of fun, and the more money we earn throughout the year, the better we can do as far as programs and presentations and bringing in bigger and better things for our members and visitors to see each month at our meetings. So anyways, Saturday is the last day of the show. After the show is finished, we of course have to drop all the quilts, pass them back out to their rightful owners, take down all of our poles, get those back to their owners. We actually decided this year to rent poles from another guild, because our poles they're old and they're not very sturdy. And last year, or 2 years ago, I say, our last show, we nearly had a catastrophe because those poles have just gotten to the point where they're so wobbly and unstable. If you touch them wrong, it can cause like a huge domino effect, and we nearly had that happen last show. So we were like, we've got to do something different this year. And so we contacted another quilt guild in our area that has really nice poles, and they're like, yeah, we'll rent them to you. And so we did that, and they will come and set them up and take them down, because of course they don't want somebody who's not familiar with their poles to be messing with them. It's just a liability issue. So Saturday should be another long day, late evening getting home, but then we'll be done with it for 2 years. So anyways, what did I do today? Today I watched a few YouTube videos while I worked. I've gotten really into this series. It's a British program. It's called Country House Rescue, and it's an older show. I think it was filmed in like 2009 or something like that. So it's definitely an older show, but they go out to these old country homes, these estates out in the countryside in England, and help the families who live in them to figure out how to make a profit from these houses by like hosting events and Airbnb and whatever other sources of income make sense for that particular property. It's a super interesting show for me. I don't know who else might enjoy it, but if you like British shows and you love those old country estates, it's definitely worth watching. You should check it out. Like I said, it's on YouTube, and usually they cram like 4 episodes or so into one YouTube video, so they'll take 3 hours long. So I definitely don't watch them all in one sitting. I have to break it up, do 30-45 minutes at a time. I'm also still working through DP Crazy Lady's special, excuse me, not DP Crazy Lady, Lazy Retired Granny. Working through her special edition videos. She's definitely not being lazy right now. She is cranking out those videos, and I think I'm on to Hedwig the Owl that you're working on right now. And DP Crazy Lady, I did watch your video of your cross stitches. Those are absolutely amazing. I love cross stitch. I absolutely adore it. That's part of what draws me to diamond painting, is the fact that it's very similar. It's so similar to cross stitch that I feel like I'm kind of cross stitching, but I can use a big, thick, chunky pin. You can't really use a chunky needle, and I can't feel a little teeny tiny needle in between my fingers. So I do not hand sew at all. Now I do have some really beautifully done cross stitch pieces that I have picked up from like estate sales and antique shops. I'll have to show you guys those sometime. They're my cross stitch ones are packed away because I have one particular space that I hang those in, and I rotate them throughout the year. But right now I have a needlework, like embroidery picture there. Again, I'll have to show you guys that because it's absolutely stunning. Somebody put a ton of work into this picture, and it was at a little junk shop here in town. I went there one day because I was hoping to find a like a rolling cushioned chair that's lightweight that I could take back and forth with me to quilt camp. And I did not find that, unfortunately, but I was just walking around in there and I see this absolutely beautiful piece of art. And I didn't see a price tag on it. I really didn't care. I just snagged that thing off the wall and I took it to the counter, and the guy was like, "Oh, are you the lady that said you were going to come back for that?" I said, no, this is the first time I've seen it, but if somebody's got it on hold. He said, well, that was several hours ago. She was supposed to just run and get some cash and come right back. So, you know, she hasn't come back and you're here and ready to buy. So, you know, sold. And so I purchased it. He was like, I'm asking $25 on it. And I was like, oh, yes, absolutely. I don't know that I would have paid much more than that, but I know the value of it is much more than that. So after I paid out, he and I chit-chatted a little bit more. I've known this man for several years through several different businesses that he's owned over the years. So we chit-chatted a bit, and he's like, you know, I'm kind of thinking I maybe should have asked a little bit more for that, huh? I'm like, well, yeah, you probably should have, but I'm glad you didn't. You know, because at this point I had already like paid my ticket. The sale was final. So yeah, he and I had been talking about like the amount of work that had gone into that, and he's like, that takes somebody several hours, and I'm like, probably more like weeks, months, depending on how much time they could work on it at any given time. Like, it's not like humongous, but it's super, super detailed. So yeah, it definitely was not a, you know, let's just whip it up in an afternoon kind of a picture. Beep beep. No. Mama forgot about that one. Yes, I know. Come away from it, please. Apparently, I forgot to put one of the gift baskets back in the garage where they're being stored until I take them to the show. And I have realized that I missed like a gajillion sevens in there. If I just missed like one or two, I'd wait and come back to them. But this is like several that I missed. So let's just go through and get these real quick. Anyway, so yeah, I really appreciate the amount of work that goes into cross stitch and into embroidery and all that. And just because I cannot do it myself, I am more than happy to pick up pieces, you know, at estate sales and thrift shops and things like that. And, you know, I feel like the person who put all that work into it, I'm hoping that, you know, they are, you know, seeing that their art is appreciated once again. You know, their family may not have appreciated it because, you know, as DP Crazy Lady says, you can only give away so many of your things before people are tired of getting them. And so, you know, I'm sure people whose artworks I've purchased have had, you know, 1,000 of them go around their family, and the family's just like, no more, no more. So yeah, I've picked up completed cross stitches, like super detailed beaded cross stitches that are completed. I've picked up, there's a couple that I have that I got for $1 a piece in frames, literally $1. I was just absolutely shocked when I looked at the price tags on those. And I picked through all of them and found my favorites. And I probably could have taken them all and loved them all, but I wanted to make sure that I got my favorites so that each one of them gets a fair share of time up on the wall right inside our living room door, so that everybody that comes in sees it and oohs and ahs over it, and of course asks, oh, did you do that? And I of course will gladly tell them I did not. And I'll tell them the story of how I picked it up at an estate sale, and, you know, I'm just making sure that this person's artwork has, you know, continued love and appreciation. And of course people always, you know, admire that story. So anyways, trying to think. I know I've watched a little bit of Diamond Paint with Mike. I think I'm up to the cat with the butterfly. And watching him place the multi-place that background, because there's so much black in there, it's just mesmerizing. When he moved up to the 6 placer, and, you know, he just like plopped these down, and all of a sudden there's a whole bunch more of it completed. And it's just really cool to watch, you know, as that was going on. I don't remember seeing any A's in here, so I'm just scanning real quick to see if I need to dump any out or just move on to the next letter. Concentration, concentration, concentration. Trying not to be silent on a video. Oh, there's a couple. So yeah, up towards the top we've got A's. Anyways, I know I'm up to date on Hoya Bella, and I believe Tita. And by the way, Tita, congratulations on 500 subscribers. That's a huge milestone. I'm pretty content with my 160, 180, something like that, wherever I'm at today. I can't believe that many people sit here and listen to me. And I know at least a few people watch all the way through. I know not everybody likes a long WIP and chat. But I enjoy listening to them when they, you know, have material that interests me. Which, you know, those of you that I consider friends, as you're whipping and chatting, you know, you could be talking about dusting your knickknacks and I'd probably find it interesting. Yeah, let's see here. I can't think of any others right off that I specifically have watched. I make sure to thumbs up everybody's video as I watch them, so that you know I've been there. But I try to leave comments. It's not always a very, you know, long, detailed novel of a comment. but I do try to leave a comment so that, you know what parts of your video interested me. Now, I will tell you, a lot of the times while I'm sitting here watching and you're talking and you're like, oh yeah, this blah, 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 I probably will, most of the time I sit there and I actually answer. I talk back to you. You can't always hear me, but then by the time I finish the video, I don't always remember what I wanted to go back and comment on. And usually I'm working, so I don't have time to like make myself a note to go back and say, hey, by the way, XYZ about this part of your video, and QWR about that part of your video, and on and on. So just know I am watching and I am talking back to you. So, oh goodness. I don't think I've got anything else going. Like I said, it's a super busy week. I don't know how much diamond painting I'll get to do. And I really don't know how much video work I'm going to get to do on diamond painting. But I will, probably try to pop a little short or something in there at the quilt show just to show you guys, the setup and, ribbon winners and things like that. You can see the artwork that some of my friends have put together. Again, I don't have any quilts hanging in this show, and it's out of sheer laziness because I've got several quilts that are ready to be put on a long arm quilter because they're just too large for my little home sewing machine to handle. And so I need to get them on a long arm quilt machine, which I used to have access to one from a friend. And unfortunately, that friend has passed away and I no longer have access to that machine. So I can't quilt my own anymore, which is a real bummer because I always enjoyed doing it. And, those machines are so super expensive that it's just not in our budget at this point in time. And so I, have to pay somebody else to long arm my quilts. And I always, I always think, oh, I'm going to do that this paycheck. I'm going to do it that paycheck. And then I forget. So, that's the only reason I don't have any quilts in this particular show is because I was too dang lazy to get the quilts to a quilter and get them finished. So, next quilt show in 2 years, you better believe it, I am going to be putting some quilts in that show because I'm hoping that I actually get around to getting some things quilted. So, same with one of my friends, the one that I'm taking to the airport on Thursday morning. She's also in my quilt guild and unfortunately doesn't have any quilts in the show this year either. Again, she just, never got a chance to get any over to a quilter. The ones that really meant the most to her are going to be pretty costly to get quilted. And so, she's, going to fit that into her budget. If I still had access to a quilter that I could use, I would, be willing to do some of hers. The one that she really wants done, I am not experienced enough to comfortably do for her. So, in that case, we've got some friends in our guild that are excellent quilters that will do a great job on it. We've just got to get around to getting them over to the quilters. So, and let's see here. I do have a Temu order coming. And once that Temu order gets here, I'm going to do a video to show you guys what my plan for the rest of this year is as far as what paintings I'm going to work on. I do have several that I want to complete this year. But my Halloween one for Hoya Bella's Quilt Along in October is in that Temu order. So, like I said, once that gets here, I will do a video to show you guys kind of the ones that I'm hoping to complete this year. May not stay in any particular order, but I will definitely be trying to get several completed this year. I've got, like I said, I've got a Halloween one coming, and I've got a Christmas one that I unboxed a while back. That one that I'll be starting probably November, when DP Crazy Lady starts on her festive fireplace. I will probably start on my, I think it's called Frosty Forest Friends, something along those lines. It's a snowman with like a deer and some other wildlife out in the forest. It's all snowy and pretty. But yeah, I'll show you guys what I've got coming up for the rest of the year once that Temu order gets here. And then we will, hopefully by the time I finish this and get past the quilt show, I'm really hoping that I can get at least one more painting in before we start black and white. Of course I'll do a kit up video with that. It'll be a short kit up since it's only a 16 color painting. If you do want to participate in the black and white, if you want to do that exact same painting, I'm pretty sure you can still get it on Diamond Art Club, but most of us have purchased it from Hobby Lobby, so that we can take advantage of their every other week 40% off sale. And remember that there are times that you can find 2 different price points on that painting. And whatever price point is marked on the box is what they're going to ring it up for you as. So if you can get a hold of the one that is marked $15.99 and get 40% off of that, then it's under $10. If you're not watching the price, they do have them also marked at $29.99. And I don't honestly know what the reason behind the price difference is. If maybe some were maybe meant to be sold online, because I know some of their stuff online is cheaper because they charge such an outrageous amount in shipping. Maybe that makes it about even versus buying it in store versus shipping. I don't know. I'm coming up with theories at this point. So if you hear the plastic bag rattling, that's the cat getting into naughty things. Everybody loves a little cat chaos. So yeah. Oh yeah, goodness gracious, we're at nearly 40 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and sign off of here. I'm going to start getting this uploaded, but the last couple of videos that I've uploaded have taken like forever to upload. Like, they'll be uploading overnight and in the morning they're still not uploaded. So hopefully this one is up in a more timely manner. I don't know why the others have been so slow, but you guys will see this hopefully in the morning. So hopefully on Wednesday morning is when you guys will be seeing this, and I will be working my rear end off at the quilt show. I'll see you guys later on, and hopefully I'll be checking back in with you later this weekend. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.